Welcome in, everybody. This is a special edition of our YouTube channel video. This is Monday, March the 14th. I'm Charlie Castro. We're just going to be talking about one thing today, and that is buying off the auction.com list. We finally have been through the first cycle of offers on the first group of properties that we had submitted to them, and we just learned a lot. And so I could have done one of two things. I could have spent the next 3 days talking to 100 people on the phone, or I could just do a 20-minute or 15-minute YouTube video and explain what we've learned and explain what some of these lists mean. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen handy, I would pull that out. You want to jot some things down. This is important. If you're a broker, I especially ask you to watch this video. It's important that you understand the protocol because I can't talk to every buyer all day long and explain the protocol over and over. So I need you to understand how this all works so that you can explain it then to your buyer. Okay, so please listen. It's only 15 minutes. It's going to be a short one. Again, we're only going to talk about auction.com. The only thing I'm going to put out there today is we're having a lot of really good luck right now with a lender that we're working with, and these guys provide financing on primarily fix and flip. So if you're a fix and flipper or you have clients that are fix and flippers and they're looking for cash to do some more, this is a great opportunity. We've had about 4 or 5 already that's gone through the cycle that have been approved. It's easy, it's quick. If you're a broker, there's a little bit of money in it for you. It's not a lot of money, but more importantly, it gives your buyers access to capital. So if they need $100,000 to go buy a couple properties and fix them and flip them, it's a good opportunity. So I'll do one slide of that in about 30 seconds. Okay, protocol. Let's start with protocol. You first have to sign our NDA. Most people have already signed the NDA, so that's not an issue. You want to request a list of properties in your market. We can't send the list out in its entirety, as you probably know, so only ask for the properties in your market. Now, we're also going to point out that there's 2 different types of lists. We're going to do that too, so that's very important. So we'll get to that in a minute. You have to do your own due diligence on these. How you get in is up to you. We understand there's a HUD key out there somewhere that you can get your hands on. We understand that some properties may have lock boxes on them. If so, contact us. We can give you some ideas of what the lockbox codes could be. Or lots of guys just get in via realtors. If there's a lockbox code on it, they just find their way in. So you have to figure out your own way. You have to look at buying off this list like you're buying off of and you're at the auction. You're at the auction table. You don't get to run down the street and look at it. You're at the auction. You make your bids based on your due diligence that you do prior to coming to the auction. Now, the good news is you're going to get these lists a little bit early. Let me get into that in 1 second. I'm getting ahead of myself. You want to submit your offer with a letter of intent and proof of funds. Talk about that in length. Now, again, very important. I want to point this out. If you're a broker, you have to add on top of these fees. It's $2,000 per property if the property is less than $100,000. If a property is $100,000 or more, we're charging 2%. Every broker that we're working with right now is charging 1 or 2 points or $1,000 or $2,000 to be consistent with what we're looking for. What you charge your buyer, we could care less. If you want to charge them 5%, that's great for you. Phil and I and Matt, we have an agreement. This is all being done through Past Financial Services, which is Philip Folks' company. So they will be compensated that 2% or $2,000. So that's our fee. If you're a broker, add on top. And please do me one favor. Don't send a buyer to me without first addressing fees. It happened twice again to me today where I had buyers call me up and say, man, I really like this. There's some good properties here in my market. How does it all work? And I did take the time to explain to them. But when we got to fees, it's like, man, I really don't want to. I don't know what your broker said to you or your referring agent or your what have you. So you need to talk to your buyer about what the fees are going to be. Okay, now this is important. This is some of the things we've learned. There's 2 different lists that there's more than that. There's about 3 or 4 different lists actually that we can have access to. We're settling in on what we think works best, but there's 2 different lists. The first list is their main list, and it's a large list. The first list we saw was about 10,000 properties. Many of you already have that list. Now on that list, if you look into the auction bid start dates, that those bids, auction dates could have been last week, the week before, it could be this week, it could be today, it could be tomorrow. Look at those dates. I think it's columns X and Y, I believe it's on the list, but it says auction start time and auction end time. That means that those properties have already been through the auction. Okay, that's not a pre-auction list. You have to understand that's not a pre-auction list. Is there advantages to that list? Yeah, there's a lot more properties on there, and I'll give you some other advantages. Well, I'll tell you here in one second. If you wish to offer on that list, you need to know that those properties will still go to auction on the dates indicated on the spreadsheet. So even if you offer at the indicative bid, and we're going to talk about the indicative bid price in a few minutes, but even if you offer at the indicative bid price on that spreadsheet, it's still going to go to auction. Somebody could offer more. We believe that's columns X and Y. You must send in your highest and best offer if you have any chance of getting that property. They're going to bid on our behalf. By proxy, they're going to bid for us. So if you send in your best offer on any one of those properties off the big list, and there's a whole bunch, there's 10,000 of them. Send in your best offer. They will submit that bid at auction, and you could win that bid. If you don't offer the indicative bid price, you're probably not going to get the property. Now, there's one advantage of that list that Matt just pointed out to me just a couple minutes ago, and that's the last bullet point here. One advantage of that large list is this. You may get better prices on certain properties. You need to know, though, that the seller will likely only lower their price expectations after a property's gone through that auction 10 plus times. So let's say, for example, especially if you're in a smaller market, have a better chance of it. Let's say you're in Georgia, or you're in Kentucky, you're in Alabama, or you're in Ohio. You could probably offer on that bigger list an offer less than the indicative bid, and in a month or two, you may get a phone call and say you won the bid, because they may not accept your bid at first, but after going through the auction multiple times, they may come back and say, hey, we got a bid from Fred down in Columbia, South Carolina, and he offered us $10,000 in that property. We're asking for 15, but we're done waiting around. We'll take the 10. Now, that can happen. So there's the one advantage of that larger list is you could get something, but now remember, that's not going to happen tomorrow. So don't. What we learned this week was that, yeah, we submitted bids, but it was going to the auction, and if you came in under the indicative bid price, you just have to wait until they just get tired of going through the auction process, and at which point they'll come back and they'll say, well, okay, maybe we'll take less. So there's an advantage there, but don't expect quick answers on that. They're going to put that thing back to the auction over and over and over if you're not at that bank's. By the way, indicative bid means that's what the bank wants. And we're able to give you the indicative bid price, and you can't get that most other places, and we'll talk about that in slide 2. Okay, now the second list is the pre-auction list. Matt called it one-click shopping this morning because he submitted a couple offers, and literally within 15 minutes he had the confirmation back that we won the bid. So literally the pre-auction list, the one that we have, we just got the new list today. It has 800 properties on it. The pre-auction list is really the one where you're going to have a much higher batting average in terms of deliverability of that asset. It's a smaller list. We receive the list fresh each week. The lists have not gone to auction. There'll be a date on the list that'll tell you when it goes to auction. None of these have been to auction yet. The advantage to this list is this. Not everyone has this list. Not everybody gets the pre-auction list. Yes, we know some people do get the pre-auction list, but nobody gets the bank's indicative bids, which is their bottom line asking price. So if you, for example, what you can get, you can go to the pre-auction list. You can see a pre-auction property, but it's going to have the starting bid price. Great. You got the starting bid price. You have no idea, and we've seen a bunch of these lately. You know, the starting bid price is $10,000, and the indicative bid the bank's going to accept is $120,000. Well, you have no idea where to hit at. You have no idea. If you come in at 90, you may think, man, that's a strong offer, but they're asking for 110. You're 20 grand off. They're not going to even consider that. The other advantage is having the indicative bid prices. In theory, they could have one with the starting price or the starting bid's $10,000 and the indicative bid's $20,000. You bid $30,000, right? Because you don't know what the indicative bid price. So to me, there's huge advantages off that list. There's exclusivity off that list, and you're going to know what the indicative bid price is. And in many cases, you may say, well, they're overpriced. I've had a couple people say to me on some California properties, say, Charlie, those are at market price. And my answer was, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be some. They're going to be at market price. Wait till the next round comes out and see what's on the thing next week. Maybe you can pick a couple off of that. Being in our database and being on our list means you're going to get these lists every week. You may not find something this week that fits for you, but you may find 5 next week that fit for you. So that's what we are going to focus on the pre-auction list. We're part of a small exclusive group, VIP group that gets it. We get the indicative bid prices on them, and then we get them before auction. To us, that's the most promising list. Choose the properties that you have interest in and contact us. We will give you guys the indicative bid. Now, as many of you know, we gave out some indicative bids last week. We weren't supposed to. We didn't know that. The indicative bid is only supposed to go to us, and so that we know what the price is. If you contact us, we'll then tell you what the indicative bid price is. So in the future, when you see this list, you're not going to get an indicative bid price on there. You got to contact us to know what that price is. So select the properties that you like. Just drop me a Matter note. We'll be glad to give them to you, in just a couple minutes. Now, here's some tips for buying. If you're submitting offers off the main list, you must send in your highest and best bids. You're going to go to auction with a bunch of other people. There's no sense on that larger list. You may see properties on there you like, but if you call us and we say the indicative bid is $50,000, don't offer $30,000. It's not going to probably go anywhere. This is the same type of thing that we saw, by the way, for those watching this video. I know it's bringing back memories of the Freddie Mac list, right? When we were doing the Freddie Mac stuff last, June, July, August, September, what we didn't know was we had no idea what the bank was asking for. People would submit their offers in. We never heard anything back. And then we later learned that, well, yeah, you were 30, 40% under what the bank was asking for. You want to come in with your highest and best. Don't try to lowball. It's not going to fly. They'll just keep going back to auction. That's their strategy. Just keep going back to auction. Okay. On the pre-sale list, do not offer under the indicative bid. If the bank does not get that number, the property is going to go to auction. If you see a property and the indicative bid you find to be of value, offer at it. You got a darn good chance of getting that property. That's the one-click shopping I was talking about earlier. That was Matt's experience this morning when he was offering on properties. He's like, wow, this is just make a click, put the number in, boom, you got the contract back. If you're looking for a quick reply time, only ask us for the pre-auction list. Don't ask us for the main list. If you're looking for some exclusivity, only ask for the pre-auction list. The main list, the large list, has its advantages, but remember, there's a lot of people that have seen that list because there's a lot of people bidding on that list. The pre-auction list gives you by far the greater chance of success. And that's not to say you're not going to get some gems off that larger list. You can. And I think for some folks, maybe I've been talking to people all day today, and for some people, they're going to run the risk with that big list. They're going to come in under the indicative bid. They're going to let it sit there and see what happens. If you're in a smaller market, maybe that's not a bad strategy. Just know that we're not going to know right away. So don't expect us to know today or tomorrow or probably even next week. So those are some tips for buying. You all know what the bank list looks like. I don't even know why I left this on here, but that's what the spreadsheet looks like. Contact us for the list. Now, when you make your offers, you must have a formal LOI and verifiable POF. Most everybody knows that. We also learned that with our first bids accepted, that articles of incorporation are needed once you win the bid. So we need to have your articles of incorporation. By the way, if you're going to be a repeat buyer, just send us those one time. We just need them once. POF once. It's all. Maybe we'll ask for POF updated every once in a while. They'll ask for that. But once we have your POF and we have your articles of incorporation, you're registered to be a buyer. You don't need to do that every time you submit a bid. If you win the bid, you can have 24 hours to sign their agreement. If earnest money, it'll be $2,500 or 5% will be required. Title can be conveyed, quick claim or special warranty. Most of you know that. Title and escrow is First American Title. The buyer pays the closing fees. The title company is not a deal breaker, folks. If you want to use your own title company, they don't care. Closing can take place anywhere from 20 to 45 days. As we all know, there's variables that goes into buying a bank property, so it could be 20 to 45 days. And all properties are sold as is, where is. It's important that you know that. And I said that earlier. You know, you got to do your due diligence up front if you want to be successful with this. So do your due diligence up front. Okay, when requesting the bank properties, to make this easy, we're creating a database. We've already got most of this built now. But if you want inventory consistently, just email Matt, matt.castro91@gmail.com, preferably all in one email. He wants to know where you want properties at, all the information that you need to have, put it on one email. In the states. So make sure you tell us what states. We can't break these down by zips because the lists are too big. This will help us get inventory to you faster. Just get in our database, send it to Matt, tell him what you're looking for, sign our NDA if you haven't, and we'll get properties off to you. Just real quickly, as I said, fix and flip loans, these guys are pretty good to work with. I mean, everybody I've worked with now that's gotten a loan for these guys are really pleased. 90%, up to 90% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab costs. So if you got a property you're buying for $50,000, they're going to finance 45 of it. They're going to pay 100% of what your rehab costs are. Your down payment's going to be 10%. Interest rates are as low as 8%. Terms are 12 months. There's 4 origination points. If you're a broker and you want to make more of that, you have to ask the guy that you referred us to pay you a point, because that's by law they're charging 4%. It's going to the broker. There's no prepayment penalty. The minimum loan about $75,000. It's a nice way if you're buying smaller fix and flips. If you need some cash, get a hold of us. We can tell you how to. Okay, I did that in 14 minutes, so I thank you for your 14 minutes. Please, if you didn't understand any part of that, watch it again. If you've got further questions, drop me an email or call me. I know it's been difficult in the last 10 days to answer every phone call, so I apologize. Send me a text, set up a time. If you do that, more likely that you're going to get me than just trying to call me out of the blue. And also, I should have put my business line up here. My business line, if you don't have it, if you've got a pen, is 714-312-0900, 714-312-0900. Good number to call. Why? Because on my signature block for the last 6 months, I've had my cell phone. So everybody's calling my cell phone. So if you call my office line, I'll probably pick it up. So anyway, have a blessed day, everybody. Looking forward to this. If you got questions, give us a call. Look forward to working with you, and we'll talk to you soon.